welcome back. I'm Amelia Automotive and this is the Daily Driver series where I'll be focusing on real world car use for real world drivers. Right, so today I'm with a car that I used to own but it's slightly different. It's the Abarth F595 and it is a little pocket rocket. Let's take a look. This Abarth has an impressive little 1.4 turbo engine. Now some of you will come at me and say this is just a Fiat 500, but it's so much more than that. And I'm going to prove that to you, okay? Let's go. I'm putting it in sport mode. Ready? I forgot how much fun Abarths are. Oh, I love them. I'm sorry. And I know some of you will be like, oh, it's an Abarth, but they are like Marmite, but you know what, I bloody love them. So I know there's a lot of discussion in the car industry about Fiat 500 and Abarth. Now, for me, this is not a Fiat 500, it's a completely different animal, it's a little pocket rocket, and it's just so impressive, the joy and feeling you get driving this little roller skate essentially. This is a 1.4 turbo engine. Now this is sort of the mid-range of speed in this car. So it has 165 brake horsepower and 230 newton meters of torque with a 0 to 62 in 7.3 seconds. Now, the car I owned before this was the 180 brake horsepower version, so the Competizione. Now this is the F595. I was sceptical about driving it coming from a car that's more powerful. So the Competizione has 180 brake, 250 newton meters of torque, and it also has a 0 to 62 in 6.8 seconds. So that 0.5 seconds I thought would make a big difference, but it doesn't. It's actually, this car feels on par with it. Obviously there's a little bit of a difference, but this car is just, it's personal preference with this car, because for me, I love aspects of this and I love aspects of the Competizione. So let me show you around the car and point out the sort of bits I love and point out the bits that I preferred in the Competizione. Obviously this car is unique. It has flashes of blue on the diffuser, the mirrors and on the front splitter. But let's talk about the elephant in the room of what's the really cool thing about this car. And I think it's completely like Marmite. You'll either love it or you hate it. Let's talk about the exhaust.
This is definitely the biggest feature in the F595. It brings its personality, and to be honest, I love the vertically stacked exhaust. There's a lot of debate with them, so what do you guys think?
Right, let's talk about the interior, because this is something that I'm not so sure on in this car. So this has the cloth seats, whereas my previous Abarth had the leather. You can also get the say belts, which have the carbon fibre on top in the Competizione, which is the one up from this car. And I think when you're getting a car like this, you want it to feel special inside. Although these are comfier, I personally would go for the carbon fibre any day. Right, so on my previous Abarth, I had Alcantara and carbon fibre on the steering wheel as well. I do feel like I miss that on this. Although it's brilliant and it's probably more practical because it hasn't got the Alcantara, and for me, I don't get makeup and ruin the Alcantara, I just miss that sort of luxury feel and it feels like a sports car with the carbon fibre. Although it's still got the big screen, which I like. One thing I do like which has changed about this car is that it's now got a matte black dashboard, which on my previous car, again, I'll keep referring to that because they are so different, it didn't have that, and I always felt it was quite cheap. Along with the door handles as well on this are chrome, which I think are so much nicer than what's on the Competizione.
Before we go for another drive, let's talk about the boot. So it's definitely not room for a dog, but there is room for luggage for two people. This is definitely a two-person car.
This car, which is quite ironic really, is a perfect car for a starter hot hatch or someone that doesn't want as much power, but I don't know who would want that, let's be honest. So this reminds me of the Comp,
Obviously it's not got the same spec specifically, but it's got the upgraded exhaust, the Record Monza, which the normal Turismo doesn't have. And it's got the upgraded screen. It just feels nice to be in, and it's a bit special. It's a bit more special than Turismo, but it's 165 brake horsepower, so it's that little bit cheaper on insurance. But you're still getting the Abarth feeling of this car. So I personally would always go for a comp or a special edition one. To be honest, I would always go for a comp, or do you know what? It's got to be a Rivale for me, because they are just, who doesn't want a Abarth based on a yacht? Like, it's just amazing. I love it, and I actually quite like the wood. Yeah, I do like the car, but I like the wood. And I'm sorry about how much it's shaking, but that brings me into the suspension actually. So if you're getting an Abarth, think about the comfort, please, because in my previous Abarth there were times where I wanted to just get out and scream because I had been driving it for 2 hours straight. However, taking it out on the weekends on a Sunday blast is one of my favourite memories in it. And I feel like the Abarth is great for sort of a single person or a couple, because obviously it's small, there's not a lot of space in the car. It's just a nice car to drive on your own. You realise how uncomfortable it is when people are in the car with you. They're like, oh, the suspension's really bad. And I'm like, yeah, but you get used to it. People go to the Abarth and they say, oh, it's been the same for 10 years plus. They haven't changed anything. They're going fully electric in 2024. But in my head, I'm like, why change something that's so good? Because someone might make the comment and say, it's just a 500, I don't care, like, go away. But have you driven one? Because I promise you, if you drove one, it would be a completely different experience. This is like no car I've ever driven, because it's in a bit of a niche, especially the really high performance ones, the comps, because there aren't many rivals for it. People have called it a warm hatch, which I can't agree with, because it's definitely a hot hatch. It's got so much power for the size of it. But yeah, it's just such an amazing car, and I absolutely love it. I love Abarth, and the only reason I sold mine was because I needed a boot now. Because I've got a little 32 kilogram chocolate Labrador who's just a muscle machine and needs a big car, or a car with a bigger boot. But yeah, I would definitely get one of these. If I had two car garage, I would have probably, like, right now, I'd probably have one of these in a convertible. For me, it has to be a convertible, because the convertible is brilliant. It's brilliant because you can fold it sort of halfway and then halfway and then half back. And if it gets too cold, you turn it off. Oh, Bella, ciao, Bella. I've got that song in my head because I did the reel on it. Right, thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe and like. Share with your friends and family. This girl says our bath's brilliant. That's me.